As our villages become unrecognizable, as schools forget to teach the soul of this country, as houses pop up like air fryers in a field, and as our flag becomes a fight, I start to wonder if remembrance is the next thing on the list that we're told to forget. And I begin to wonder if Europe and Commonwealth didn't remember with us, would we even be allowed to? Would we be told it's offensive, outdated, that remembering our dead might upset someone somewhere? In a world this obsessed with optics, is remembrance too unfashionable, too British and too brave? We say, lest we forget. But forgetting doesn't happen all at once. It drifts, it disconnects. And sometimes you see it up close. I was in a coffee shop in London, and the girl behind the counter pointed to the poppy on my coat. She smiled and then asked, "What is that?" Genuinely. She didn't know about the poppy, didn't know why we wore it, didn't even know about the world wars. And I stood there trying to explain the two world wars to someone who looked at me like I was describing ancient history, not something her grandparents might have lived through. And it made me wonder if the best generations have already died. Not because we don't still have pride, but because they believed in a future we were meant to carry. They died for families, villages, fields, churches, for a version of Britain they hoped would last. And it wasn't just the soldiers who waited, it was the mothers, the sisters, children, waiting for the war to end. All of them believing that what came next would be better. I don't really know what to say, really, except that remembrance fades unless we choose to keep it alive, not just with poppies, but with pride and care. Because without them, we might not even have had the choices we make today. I don't believe we live in the Britain that they died for, and I'm sure I am not alone in this.
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye those rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The, the country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
And this is why I stop at war memorials, why I read the names even when I'm running late, even when it's raining out, because those names once belonged to the future. Boys who were meant to come home, meant to fall in love, build houses, plant gardens, grow old. Instead, they were buried in foreign soil with a promise carved into stone that we would always remember them. They left Britain to fight for all of us. And those who came back, this country barely looked like the place they left behind. The war ended and the bulldozers moved in. And instead of rebuilding in their honour, we erased them and built over memory and called it progress. We didn't just lose our buildings, we lost our continuity, our connection, our cultural spine. We could have said, this was bombed, so we're rebuilding it in their name. But we didn't. We said, that was then, this is now. As if dreaming of red bricks and carved wood was backwards. As if the best way to honour the dead was to forget the Britain that they died for. Because Britain now has just become a brand, a landmass with vibes, not a story, not a soul, just an emoji with tea and crumpets. We've flattened our culture and history into cliches, cream teas, top hats, a man in a Union Jack doing karaoke in Magaluf. But the men who died for us, they didn't die for vibes. And lately, I've noticed fewer people wearing poppies. We've got politicians making headlines not wearing them. Remembrance shouldn't be a press opportunity. But if all people who represent this country do not see its significance, then what is happening to people who consider these leaders as role models? It's not for optics. It's not a costume accessory. But now, at least I know who's honest about it. Because it should come from belief, and honouring those who served should be held dear to us all, that the future that they died for is still worth honouring and still worth fighting for. We should always stop to read the names and actually remember, no matter the season.